Good afternoon to you on Friday the 14th of May. I hope you've had a good week, and Eid Mubarak to our Muslim students and their families. I hope you had a wonderful day of celebration yesterday to mark the end of the holy month of Ramadan, of course. Normally I just sit down, as you well know, and talk for 10 minutes or whatever comes into my head. On this occasion, I have to do two takes because I got to the very end of what I wanted to say. A word came out wrongly. I won't repeat the word, but it came out rather inappropriately, and I have to start all over again. So here goes. Who knows whether it'll be like the first attempt or not. 5 o'clock nearly now, a late one today. It's been a mad busy day. Mrs. Roberts, my PA and our missions officer, is finishing our third full day of appeals for those students wanting to gain a place at Wellington next year. So I hope those families appealing for a place feel like they've given it their best shot, and good luck to you all. Okay. As I say, a good week. This time next week, our year 11s and 13s will have completed their final assessments. Maybe one or two sort of outstanding ones of pupils have been off for whatever reason, but to all intents and purposes, the end of those assessments. And you've had a great third week, it would seem, this week. Things going very well indeed again. One more week to go, folks, so keep at it. Keep plugging away, and I'm sure you'll get your just desserts when the results come out. And to my colleagues, my wonderful colleagues, thank you for the work you've done so far. I've said this before, but normally we teach and the pupils do the exams. The teachers have been teaching, they had to put papers together, they've got to mark those papers, they've got to moderate them, standardise them, do all the regulations, submit the grades, all those things that normally other people are paid to do. And that's all obviously happening within school now. So a massive task for all concerned, but thank you to my colleagues. You walk around at the moment, now that year 11s and 13s are finishing certain lessons, staff have gained time and are sat there marking piles of work in preparation for moderating and submitting them in a few weeks' time. So thank you to my colleagues for the work you've done, and well done on a superb effort. Okay, so one more week to go on that. On COVID note, a positive case we had, just one this week in year 10, and a few isolations, young people who are close contacts. A dozen or so, unfortunately, had to be sent home yesterday. So I hope you're all okay, and will recover quickly if you have caught the virus, but hopefully you will not have done so. And it just reminds us, doesn't it, that we're not quite there yet. The figures are looking great. We're in a great position. Meeting yesterday with Trafford Public Health and the head teachers again, and we are in a very strong position. The figures have come right down, but they could head back up the other direction, of course. So we need to be vigilant, particularly with not too far from here, what they're now calling VOX, variants of concern, and high prevalence in certain parts of the northwest. So following the government's announcement on Monday that we're moving to the next phase on next Monday the 17th, and for us in schools, that means that face coverings are no longer going to be mandatory. I wrote to you during the week to make that clear. Of course, many of your students and staff may choose to carry on wearing a face covering, and that is perfectly right and proper, and would encourage that in some ways as well. But not to forget that there's other control measures, the ventilation, the one-way systems, the staggered breaks and lunches, facing the same way in classrooms and in the dining hall, the hand sanitizer, the catch-it bin it killer, all those things are still in place. The only thing that's changed will be the removal of face coverings should you so choose as of next Monday. Now, a week or so from today, we will look again at the data and consultation with public health and with our governing body and decide whether or not it is appropriate to return to a normal school day. If anyone can remember what that looks like, not since sort of March 2020, and some pupils, of course, and staff have now experienced a normal school day at Wellington. But the 5 lessons per day, everyone the same break time and same lunch time, and it's an exciting prospect because that allows more in terms of lunchtime extracurricular, after school extracurricular, school trips, more meetings and gatherings, all those sorts of things, which hopefully will be possible after June half term. So we'll keep you posted on that. But let's keep everything crossed that the data continues to head in the right direction, and the R rate and those sorts of things that we talk about support our case. Okay, can I thank you, moving on, for your response responses rather, and even the donations following what I mentioned about former student Jacob Whitehead and his cancer diagnosis last week. Overwhelmed by some of your comments, and I'm sure Jacob and his family will have been as well. It shows what a community we are. And as I said last week, I will keep in touch with Jacob and the family and keep you updated forthwith. And a particular sort of well done and thank you to, sun's out, to Isabel in year 11. Isabel came to see me a few months ago now about a charity that her and her mum were involved in. Obviously, we decided at that point already what our sponsored work charity was going to be, the Cash for Kids. So I said to Isabel we would look to raise some money for this charity in the summer term via Own Clothes Day or Welly Fest or whatever. Isabel came to see me this week and said, having seen the video about Jacob last week, her and her mum didn't think it was proper that that they detract from that. But I reassured her that I'm sure Jacob and his mum will fully understand. We'd already committed to raising money for this other charity, and we can talk about fundraising for Jacob and some ideas his mum has in due course. So thank you, Isabel, for being a wonderful human being, as we know you are anyway, making that gesture and member of the community, and it's what it's all about. But we'll stick with what we pledged to you and discuss further fundraising with Jacob and Jacob's mum in due course on a different note. Okay, so thank you all for that. There's a link sent out, I think, by Mr. Holt via Class Charts, and there may be a link on this as well about the Big Ask. This is a national survey for young people organised by Dame Rachel D'Souza, the Children's Commissioner. And it's basically to find out what makes young people happy. It's a quick 5-10 minute survey, so please, I would encourage you to ask young people to complete it at home. Because of course the information that stems from that will be useful to us as a school, but also on a national level as well. And I think good timing to ask those questions to our young people. And of course, we would normally by now have done our past survey about pupils' attitudes to school and other things, and also parents' survey. So they are pending, bear with us on that, and when we get back to some degree of normality, we'll get those surveys conducted and find out even more to help school. But the Big Ask, look out for that, please, and if you could complete it, or the young people complete it, that would be wonderful. I mentioned Mr. Holt then, and he and Mr. Travis, for that matter, are both laid up at home with quite bad back issues, actually. Mr. Travis's has been quite long running over the years, and Mr. Holt's relatively recently, and certainly Mr. Holt could potentially face surgery. So we wish them both well, and I hope they're back upright in the not too distant future, but take it easy in the meantime, guys, and we wish you well. Okay. Pupils in year 9, I think now year 10, may have spoken at home about a video assembly I sent out yesterday and today. If not, feel free to discuss it with them. This is about the treatment of young women and girls in society, but also at Wellington School. I mentioned on this briefing before, this bulletin before, about being approached, as were other members of staff, Mrs. Cooper, Mr. Tomlinson, following the murder of Sarah Everard, and some action, some discussions girls in the school particularly wanted us to engage with, and they've taken place. And I asked the girls to come back to me with some stats, some facts and figures and other views as well, and I put that into an assembly format this week. I won't go into all the details, but I quote on their behalf the 97% of women nationally who have been sexually harassed or assaulted at some stage, and things of that nature, but also some of the things which have been said and done in school. Some unacceptable things, I have to say, have been brought to our attention. So it's great we're having these conversations. So as we know, the best course of action is prevention, education, and that's what we're endeavouring to do. But yesterday in these assemblies was also a line in the sand moment as well. We expect pupils at Wellington to be upstanders, not bystanders, and not to tolerate any form of discrimination, of mistreatment on any level. And that's obviously what the Assembly was highlighting as well. So yeah, feel free to have that conversation with children at home about what was said, and let's make sure we work together to counter issues of this nature, okay, which are still more widespread than perhaps many people would like to think in society. Okay, and I think I mentioned before as well, some great work going on. The pupils are setting up with Mrs. Cooper a gender equality council on the back of these conversations. So it's good to see that student activism sort of bearing fruit. Just on that, before I sat down to do this at the end of the school day, there's some guffawing, some chuckling from reception, so I went outside to find out what was going on. It turns out the ever effervescent and ebullient Miss Lloyd in reception was cracking a few jokes to send staff on their way at the weekend. And the one I caught, the old ones are always the best, aren't they? But had me chuckling was, how much does a chimney cost? Nothing, it's on the house. But yeah, that was a joke that sent me back into my office with a bit of a chuckle before. So there's a pupil on detention outside my office at the end of the day who was chuckling away as well. So thank you, Miss Lloyd, for that humour at the end of another busy week. Okay, sun's out. It'll stay away this weekend, I'm sure. Depressing sporting week. 2 defeats for United, which I don't mind as long as we secure second place. But poor last night and giving Liverpool any sniff at Champions League football is not a good thing, of course, especially when our chair of governors is a Liverpool fan. How that sits then, I don't know. Luckily, she does a fantastic job, but had we known that she was a Liverpool fan before being appointed, it could have been somewhat different. But hey-ho, we'll have crosses to bear. Okay, so hopefully we can compensate for a poor week over the weekend. Have a good one. Yeah, a bit of rugby going on, bit of sport, bit of relaxation, bit of reading. I'm not started my pile of books I bought last Saturday yet, so that will be going on as well. Anyway, have a great weekend. Keep safe again, and fingers crossed for, what may happen in a few weeks' time. Take care, have a good one. Bye for now.